Welcome back to Green Thumb Gardening Secrets. Today we're going to talk about reasons to grow cover crops and the 5 super important reasons for health and peace of mind. Can't wait to get started. Let's get going. First, let's talk about what. Cover crops, as you see here, just like the name implies, cover the soil. They blanket the soil, they protect the soil. When the soil would otherwise be bare in areas of the garden where there aren't food crops or between widely spaced food crops. They're also an acknowledgement that we can do better, and there's a better option than leaving our soil bare for 6 to 9 months of the year. But why grow them? There are at least 5 fantastic reasons pertaining just to health and peace of mind alone. These reasons can have significant impacts on both our gardens and farms and us personally. First of all, cover crops give you a way to have fertility and garden health, including lack of insects, they're one part of a system that allows you to do that without any chemicals at all. In fact, you can do it without even any organic fertilizers, foliar application, or inputs. This gives a systematic approach that creates optimal soil health and then optimal plant health rather than fighting symptoms of lack of health.
Reason number 3.
Cover crops provide homes and possibly food for beneficial insects, arachnids, birds, amphibians, and mammals. They provide habitat. They provide the nooks and crannies to hide, hunt, sleep, and eat. Love it when we see toads in the garden. I love it when I walk around the garden and I see a garden full of spiders, sow bugs, millipedes, stag beetles. So they provide the nooks and crannies to hide, to hunt, sleep, and eat that our beneficials need. And some cover crops, like buckwheat, even provide food in their nectar to attract beneficial insects to our gardens.
Number 4.
Cover crops protect soil from temperature extremes. Most of the beneficial organisms in our garden, from the microorganisms that build healthy soil to stag beetles and earthworms and everything in between, they can't take the huge temperature fluctuations that you see imagine the soil are bare here and it is baked in the sun, and we have 25 degrees at night, but it gets 70 during the day, which is not uncommon in certain times of the year. And those massive temperature fluctuations are really hard on soil life, all sorts of soil life. And cover crops provide this layer of protection to insulate that, just like a blanket, just like a cover, that gives the soil a steadier temperature over time, and it's slow temperature swings that are much more beneficial for everything in the soil. Finally, number 5, cover crops give you a solid next step. All of us, I know we've been guilty of this, will sometimes leave plant debris, leave the remaining stubble and even the remaining plants of our garden plants in long after we've harvested the usable part. Maybe we leave the corn stalks up long after we've harvested the corn, or we leave the squash vines long after it's providing much squash, or we leave the bean plants long after we've harvested most of the crop of beans and there's really nothing much coming left. But if we think about this, we are leaving them up there, and all they're doing is giving a greater amount of time for the pests that live on them and the diseases that grow on them to continue to grow. It's better for us to take them out, put them in the compost bin, and grow soil. Why would we do something like that? Why would we work against ourselves in that way? I don't think it's laziness. I think part of us a lot of times thinks to ourselves, well, it's better than nothing, and we're right. So cover crops give us a solid next step so we can take that garden debris that's no longer growing anything that we're using, put it in the compost bin to grow soil, and then we can put on cover crops that are going to be a much denser version of that. And instead of growing food for us, they're growing food for our soil during our off season. So when we have that solid next step, it's much more likely we're going to take it right at the time that we should. Here we put on this cover crop of oats, even though we knew it was going to die back in the spring, because we knew we were going to be seeding this early in the spring, and also as a demonstration for different kinds of cover crops. We knew that this is a disadvantage of oats, that we'd have some thin spots later on after they winter killed, but we knew they'd winter kill and they'd give us a nice open soil to put in alfalfa this spring. And it was a solid next step that allowed us, as soon as this corn was done, we wanted to get this cover crop on here to get it to as much growth as it could in the fall. And so it's that solid next step that really helps out. Well, that's it for this episode, but there are at least 15 other reasons that are all just as important for our gardens and farms. So check out our previous episodes on how cover crops can help with nutrients, air and water, weed disease and pest control, increasing production of our main crops, and our pocketbooks. And stay tuned for upcoming episodes on how cover crops fit into the bigger picture of farm and garden health, and how they help me do something I never thought I'd do. And until next time, stay open to growing. You can find more on this topic and others on my website. I'll leave a link in the description below. Like this video if you liked it. Likes really help us out. Leave a question or comment below. I personally answer each one, and subscribe to get all of our future videos. And if social media is your jam, feel free to follow us on Twitter and Instagram for more Green Thumb gardening secrets, tricks, and tips. They have really no insect damage. We've put nothing on them.